Good evening, I'm Mark Ivy. Welcome to the latest edition of Kernels from the Cornfield. No husk, no hulls, no shucks. News with a dash of commentary to spice up your fare for Tuesday, May 20th, 2014. And the voice is, tonight NBC's singing competition will reveal the vote tally and crown the season's winner. After Monday night's performances, any of the three contestants, Jake Worthington, Josh Kaufman, or Christina Grimmie, will be rightly proclaimed the voice. While I still think that Jake will win out, in my book all three of the contestants have star potential and are already winners. Part of me, of course, is rooting for fellow Hoosier Josh. I was, however, quite impressed with Christina last night. Oops. I goofed yesterday saying that Jake was a Georgia boy. As a member of CNN's I Report community from Houston pointed out, Jake is from LaPorte, Texas. My apologies for mislocating Jake, and to all you supportive Texans out there. Malaysian Flight 370. Seems though denying it for weeks, the Malaysian government is now prepared to release the satellite data to the grieving families of passengers and crew who have disappeared about 2 months ago on Flight 370. This only raises more conspiracy theories and more doubts about the competency of the investigation. 6-state primary day. It's primary day in 6 states today. The race causing the most stir is whether senior Kentucky Senator and Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell can stave off a usurper favorite of the Tea Party. The money has McConnell sailing to an easy win in the primary. The general in November, however, looks to be a tight contest for McConnell and his Democratic opponent. Scandal at the VA. Talk about the right hand not knowing what the left hand is doing. White House Press Secretary Jay Carney told CNN's Jim Acosta that President Barack Obama was unaware of veterans dying while waiting on fake wait lists to be treated until CNN broke the scandalous behavior. Another episode where the president was blindsided by the media. Seems he never knows anything until the press tells him what is going on. What is he paying his staff, his department secretaries for? China calls U.S. hypocrites. The Chinese government is calling the U.S. government hypocritical in charging 5 of its military officials for hacking to steal private companies' trade secrets in light of the NSA snooping on everyday Americans without justification or cause, as revealed by Edward Snowden. The Chinese are noting that there's a big difference in trade secrets and betraying the public trust and spying on your own citizens. Of course, the Chinese are guilty as they come when it comes to domestic spying. Equality avalanche. Winter may be over, but the snowball in court after court in state after state is growing and rolling faster. Following on the heels of Oregon's ban on equality being struck down on Monday, today Pennsylvania had its state law ruled unconstitutional, barring recognition of same-gender marriages. At this rate, I may have to revise my prediction of within 5 years, equality will be the law of the land in all states downward to within the next 2 or 3 years. Taking from Peter to pay Paul. Check out my article on an intended consequence of the Affordable Care Act hitting seniors and those on disability as of June 1st. You can read all about it at FromTheCornfield.com. The do-run-run. What's that you say, President Barack Obama? Osama bin Laden is dead and Al-Qaeda is on the run. Well, Mr. President, you got half of that right. Bin Laden is dead. Al-Qaeda, however, is another story. What about the reportedly 100 or more Americans being trained in Syria by Al-Qaeda? What about the indefinite closing of the American embassy in Yemen while the Yemeni military is in an all-out war trying to beat back Al-Qaeda forces? What about that old-time Al-Qaeda ringleader in Pakistan exporting jihadists to the U.S. of A. and elsewhere? Sleeping with the enemy. Did the CIA and the U.S. government back in 2007 give asylum and is harboring a fugitive from Iran linked to the bombing of the U.S. Embassy and the Marine barracks in Lebanon in the 1980s? Has our own government once more betrayed the brave men and women who have shed their blood and lost their lives in defense of this great nation by giving aid and comfort to an enemy agent? Back home again in Indiana. Well, not this time around. The NFL announced today that Indianapolis lost its bid to host the Super Bowl in 2018 to Minneapolis. 2 years ago, when Indy played host to the most watched show in the world, it was an economic boon to the city and throughout the Cornfield. Well, maybe next time. Well, that's what caught my attention for Tuesday, May 20th, 2014. Tune in tomorrow for another episode of Kernels from the Cornfield. I am Mark Ivy. Good evening.